Namaskar friends, this is NJ, host on this channel. Continuing our discussion on understanding the different planetary time periods, in this video we will have our discussion on the 16-year-long Mahadasha of the planet Jupiter. So friends, to begin with, first let's try to understand this terminology Mahadasha. What does it mean? I mean to say, if many of you are first time listening to this video or you are accustomed to the terminologies of the the Western astrology or the tropical astrology, so this term needs to be understood with complete contemplation. So I mean to say guys, in our Vedic astrology, the human life has been equated to in total 120 years of time, specifically to all those people who follow the Vimshotri Mahadasha, I mean to say, and each planet has been allotted a specific time period. So for example, Venus has been allotted 20 years, Mars, Ketu has been allotted 7 years, same ways Jupiter has been allotted 16 years of time. So whichsoever planetary dasha or time period you are going to be running, so during that time period, that planet's vibrations are going to be very strong in your life. It will not be an exaggeration to say this thing, that in your that planetary dasha, that planet is actually going to be sitting in the driving seat of your life. So not only the Mahadasha planet governs your outer circumstances, but at the same time it also governs your own behavior, your own personality, by even infusing those governing thoughts in your mind. So I mean to say, it's very important to actually understand which planetary dasha is currently operational in your life in order to understand your behavior, your personality at that particular given point of time, and at the same time in order to predict life events for you. Now guys, if you want to understand this Jupiter's Mahadasha, which is going to be a 16-year-long period, so first of all, it's very important to understand the qualities which Jupiter represents. So you have to understand this thing, that Jupiter only has goodness to offer in this world, in everyone's life. Jupiter is the only planet which you cannot afford to be in a bad state in your chart, and no matter in which stage of life you are in, you need to have the strong blessings of Jupiter in your life. Even if someone who is a student, he needs to have the grace of Jupiter in his life to flare good in his exams, in his academics. Even if you are in your youth, you want to have a good partner. Even if you are in your middle age, you want to have good sustainable career, you want to expand your family, and Jupiter also represents expansion as well. In whichsoever house Jupiter sits or Jupiter influence, it actually gives you prosperity, divine luck can be experienced, and at the same time it actually expands the positive fruits of that house. So I mean to say guys, Jupiter, which in itself represents auspiciousness, grace, fortune, and in which area of life divinity can be experienced, wise counsel can be experienced, can be actually attached with the signification of Jupiter in Vedic astrology. I mean to say, even if you want to understand that to which all houses Jupiter can be attached as the natural significator or the karaka. So the second house of your speech, of your values, of your finances, fifth house of your intellect, ninth house of your fortune, of your good deeds, and at the same time even the 11th house of your wish fulfillment completely comes in the purview of this planet Jupiter only. So that is something friends which I wanted to tell you as a part of the general signification which Jupiter represents. Now coming to the next section, whichsoever dasha you want to judge that how it is actually going to work or function in your life. So all what you have to do is that you have to just make that Mahadasha planet as your ascendant. So in whichsoever signs planets are going to be placed, they are going to remain in those signs only. All what you have to do is that you have to shift the chart and you have to make that particular Mahadasha Lord planet as your ascendant, and then you have to make an assessment of the chart that in which area of life majority of the attention is coming. And when we talk about the planetary time period of Jupiter, so guys, as you know this thing, that when we talk about naturally by nature malefic planets, like for example planet like Rahu, planet like Ketu, Mars, or Saturn or even Sun, they encourage you to work hard, and whatsoever you want to achieve, that can be achieved only with and only after doing hard work and going through little bit of the struggle at the same time. But when we talk about auspicious and benefic planets like, for example, Jupiter, Venus, Moon, Mercury, so with lot of grace, good results can be achieved. And there couldn't be a better placement of Jupiter if you will find that you are about to start the dasha of the planet Jupiter. And Jupiter is well placed, let's say for example, in the Kendra Bhava, like first house, fourth house, seventh house, 10th house, or even the Trikon Bhava like 5th house, 9th house, ascendant. So that can be seen as a very good placement of Jupiter, where it can actually manifest and bring good results in your life. And guys, even if you want to understand that which dashas can be considered as the most fortunate or lucky, so as per my own experience, I always say this thing that the best dasha can be seen as the dasha of the ascendant lord, which actually encourages you to do something for which you have taken the birth. Let's say for example, even the dasha of the 10th house lord, which encourages you to fulfill your duties and karma in this lifetime. And at the same time, see, when we talk about in the original Kalpurush Kundli, so you know this thing that Jupiter rules the Sagittarius sign and the Pisces sign, which comes in the original Kalpurush Kundli's 9th house and the 12th house. But when we talk about which is the house where Jupiter goes through debilitation, so it's the 10th house. So what does this signify? Does it signify that the time period of Jupiter doesn't want you to work hard, doesn't want you to fulfill your responsibilities? No. It means that Jupiter attains exaltation in the natural Kalpurush Kundli in the 4th house. So Jupiter actually blesses you with emotional happiness, with fulfillment, with contentment. And it is the time period where Jupiter is actually going to encourage you to, rather than running only for the money, it encourages you to get and amass the spiritual merits. Because friends, even if you want to understand it from the perspective of Jupiter's relationship with other planets, so no other planet sees Jupiter as its enemy. And Jupiter shares good rapport with Sun, Moon, Mars. It shares a neutral relationship with Saturn, or you could say with Ketu. But when we talk about its enmity, so it is inimical towards Mercury and Venus, to this extent or because of this reason that these are the two planets which can completely take Jupiter's benefic qualities, Jupiter's inherent, craving and inclination for the knowledge towards the Rajasic entanglements of the society of the world. And at the same time, if I were to say on my own opinion, the only planet which should not come close to the planet Jupiter, which should not put or bring its negativity or malefic influence in the functioning of Jupiter, so that is the planet Rahu. See, you have to understand this thing, that why Gaj Kesari Yoga is considered as the most fortunate yoga. No matter what other astrologers say, but in my opinion, Gaj Kesari Yoga can be seen as the best yoga, because moon is something which defines your personality, which defines your thought process, thinking process. So which planet do you want surrounding your subconsciousness? A planet which represents optimism, happiness, prosperity, good thoughts, thoughts of compassion, virtues, encouraging you to do good deeds. So that is the kind of influence which Jupiter can bring, and that is the reason it is considered as Gaj Kesari Yoga. The conjunction or the combination of Jupiter and Moon is considered as the most auspicious yoga. And the most malefic yoga can be seen as the Guru Chandal Yoga, when Jupiter comes in the influence of the planet Rahu. Now you have to understand this thing, that in which regard Jupiter gets contaminated or afflicted because of the energies of Rahu, in a way that, see, Rahu has the capacity or potential to give you success, to give you fame, to give you all the materialistic accomplishments. But all of those things come without having any contentment. You might have all the riches in the world, but still your life is going to be miserable because you're not happy deep from inside. You're still craving for more. So I mean to say, when we talk about the Jupiterian energies even in the Mercury or the Venus sign or even in their influence can still function in a better way, in a Rajasic way. There might not be the spiritual involvement over there, but still there will be capacity or potential to be happy or be contented. But whenever Rahu's influence comes on the Jupiter, the contentment and the happiness quotient goes completely out of the picture or gets completely drained away. So that is something, friends, which I wanted to tell you. If you want to understand the general theme or the guideline of understanding the Mahadasha of the planet Jupiter, so definitely this time period can be seen as a very beneficial time. Now, whether you are born in the Jupiterian Dasha only, like for example, if your moon nakshatra is Punarvasu, Vishakha, Purvabhadrapada, so that means you will start your first Dasha as of the Dasha of the planet Jupiter only. Or even let's say for example, you were going through the Mahadasha of the planet Rahu before. So that time period could be filled with all form of discontentment, confusion, illusions, chaos, mental turmoils. So the moment you are going to enter the Jupiterian Mahadasha, you can fairly see the change coming or the transition coming in your subconscious in the form of capacity to feel fulfilled, capacity to feel contented. And even when we talk about the general guidelines or the theme of this whole 16-year-long period, so this time period can be seen as a time period where knowledge can be acquired, good education can be acquired, family happiness, family expansion, craving for knowledge, getting good counselors, getting good advisors, spiritual involvement, spiritual influence, interest in religious austerity, and the support of luck. Amassing or accumulating good spiritual merits can be seen as some of the foundation or guideline of this 16-year-long Mahadasha of the planet Jupiter. So friends, before we will conclude our today's topic, let's try to get deeper into understanding this 16-year-long Mahadasha by breaking it down into further subcategories of Antardasha as well. Like I mean to say, if metaphorically Mahadasha Lord planet can be seen as the driver of your life at its operational time, so with Antardasha Lord we are going to get a co-driver as well. So the results are going to manifest in your life on the basis of, first of all, the relationship between the Mahadasha Lord and the Antardasha Lord, the distance between the Mahadasha Lord and the Antardasha Lord in your chart, and thirdly, their individual strength and dignity in your chart. So I mean to say, Jupiter Mahadasha is going to be a beginning with the same Jupiter Antardasha only. So this can be seen as a time period or as a testing phase, which is going to give you this hint that how your complete 16-year-long Mahadasha is going to be turning out. And at the same time, I always recommend this thing to all of my clients that during this first phase, it is very important for you to welcome this Dasha by inculcating the seeds of faith in your constitution, in your thought process, in your personality. Whatsoever your religion is or your faith is or belief is, becoming a part of the religious austerities and taking the advices with a reverential attitude is going to be the key during this Antardasha. I mean to say, now the advisors which you have in your life, whether those are your bosses, your parents, or whether people of spiritual significance, but take all of those advices seriously with lot of respect. Now, if you want to understand the Saturn's Antardasha, so you have to understand this thing that they both have got this potential to teach you. Now, Jupiter can teach you with knowledge, with good advices, and Saturn can actually teach you with experience. So I mean to say, I have never seen any of the major obstacle which native can face during this Antardasha. Rather, in a way, this Antardasha can be seen as a good time period where whatsoever prosperity Jupiter is trying to bring in your life, Saturn can actually pave foundation to that. There could be little bit of the delays, but at the same time, this time period I have seen where people actually learn a lot. And if you're in your chart, if Saturn is well placed, so promotion, getting admission to good colleges, desired promotions, I have seen people achieving all of those things. Now guys, moving to the next section. Now if you want to understand the Mercury Antardasha in the Jupiter's Mahadasha, so this time period I have seen brings a lot of travels, lot of specifically when we talk about exploration, when we talk about actually the real accumulation of the knowledge. So this phase or this Antardasha can be seen as very promising of that. The only thing which I always advise to people is that try not to get completely overwhelmed or completely lost in the Rajasic entities or involvements in your life, where you are actually compromising in the true nectar of knowledge which you can experience in this Mahadasha of the planet Jupiter by involving in doing all the religious and righteous deeds. Now guys, moving ahead, if you want to understand the general results of the Ketu's Antardasha, so you have to understand this thing that in our chart, Ketu is a planet which has got a very extreme way of working, and it's the Jupiter only which holds the potential or power to control its malefic side, because at the end of the day even Ketu has got a benevolent moksha giving side as well. So this time period can be seen as some of the forced changes might come in your life, and the reason of all of those changes could be completely unknown to you. So it could be seen as a way that Jupiter is actually giving you the grace and fortune and giving you the results of all of your ripe karmas even from the past lives as well. So I mean to say, this Antardasha can be seen as where your mind could be drifted or inclined towards doing holy deeds, spiritual deeds, all kind of religious austerities, some sort of change, some sort of transformation, migration, people changing profession, people changing cities. So all of those things can also happen. I will not say that your free will is going to be very low. That is generally the theme when either you're going through the both Mahadasha and the Antardasha of the karmic planets. But in this time period, this can be seen as a very good time period to actually experience and welcome all the positive transformation and changes in your life. And whatsoever religious austerities you're going to do, that can actually strengthen the prospect of your luck and fortune at the same time. Now guys, moving ahead, if you want to understand the general guidelines of the Venus Antardasha, so this time period can also be seen as very good time period, specifically if in your case any of the concerns of directly Venusian professions qualify in your case, or any of the domestic lifetime events qualify in your case. Because guys, still, like when we talk about marriage, it's a lifetime event. When we talk about getting the blessings of children or getting the progeny, so all these things are the lifetime events. So I mean to say, if in your case all those things qualify, so in the Antardasha of the Venus, settlement of the family or the domestic matters can actually take priority or could actually fructify or happen in someone's life. So from all of those perspectives, this time period can actually be seen as a very blessed time. I have also seen people making good money and accumulating and amassing good wealth as well during this Antardasha of the planet Venus. Now guys, moving ahead. Now if you want to understand the Antardasha of the planet Sun, so just because Jupiter and Sun, they both hold good relationship, so because of which this time period can be specifically seen as where the prospects of your fame, of your luck, of your public image, your self-worth is actually going to get accentuated, and basis the placement of the Sun, good results can be attained. Name, fame, recognition, titles can actually be attained. Now guys, moving ahead, if you want to understand the Antardasha of the planet Moon, so this time period can be seen as one of the very auspicious time period in this 16-year long Mahadasha of the planet Jupiter. So I mean to say, where whatsoever is going to happen, that is going to happen on your subconscious, on your mental way. So I mean to say, your mind is definitely going to imbibe all the wisdom which Jupiter might has to offer. And at the same time, see, this time period can actually be seen as a very good time of inculcating all the religious ethics and becoming a part of doing the holy, righteous, spiritual deeds. So from all of those perspectives, whether you talk about travels, whether you talk about success in arts or any of the creative occupation, if that qualifies in your case, so this time period can be seen as a very good time period. Moving ahead guys, if you want to understand the Antardasha of the planet Mars, so guys, the good part about this Antardasha is that both Jupiter and Mars holds very good relationship. I mean to say, see, the sign where Mars attains its debilitation, that is the same sign where Jupiter attains its exaltation. So I mean to say, the wisdom and the righteousness of the planet Jupiter would be driving your efforts, would be controlling your endeavors, taking it to the right direction of your fulfillment or towards experiencing the divinity. So the only required eligibility is that the Mahadasha Lord Jupiter has to be strengthened in order to make best use of this Antardasha of the planet Mars. And guys, lastly, the most vulnerable or the sensitive time period in this whole 16-year long Mahadasha of the planet Jupiter is the Antardasha of the planet Rahu. So let's say, for example, if in your chart Mahadasha Lord Jupiter is strengthened and Rahu is not afflicting your moon, or Rahu is not being placed in the sensitive Dushtana Bhav or in the water signs, so then in those kind of circumstances good results can be attained, but there will definitely be at the end the most auspicious or fortunate 16-year long Mahadasha in the last section of its Antardasha might still end up with little bit of the concerns of discontentment or wanting more. So that is how you can see energies reverberating in the whole Mahadasha or 16-year long Mahadasha of the planet Jupiter. And at the end friends, if you want to understand the remedies, so apart from all the color therapy, apart from all the recitation of the Bij mantra of the planet Jupiter, worship of Lord Vishnu, offering water and like turmeric and jaggery to the banana plant is possible. So try to do that, and always try to instill optimism in people's lives. Whomsoever you are coming in contact with, try to instill faith in them, try to motivate them, try to educate them, and at the same time, if you can also sponsor the education of the unprivileged children or people, so in those kind of circumstances you are definitely going to be heading in the right direction of strengthening Jupiter and getting good results in its operational time period in your life. So that is something friends which I wanted to say as a part of my inputs for the general guidelines, results and theme of the Mahadasha of the planet Jupiter. For further more updates and notifications on the divine science of astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Thank you.